Welcome to Fiction Fridays. In this first episode, we're going to be talking about Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. So before diving into the actual book discussion part of it, I'm just going to go ahead and give the summary, which is the stories about Simi, who is a Mami Wata, a mermaid of one of the Orishas, and her job is to help souls transfer from death into the other side. So she comes across a body that is still alive, and instead of helping the person in the soul transition, she lets the boy live. So results of that lead to huge uproar and turmoil within the Orishas and the balance of everything when it comes to the Orishas, the gods, and even life itself on Earth for the humans. As this is the first episode of Fiction Fridays, there's going to be a little bit tweaks and things that go on within this video of just like the layout and the format. So just taking into account how I read the book, I wasn't filming myself per few chapters as I was reading. So this is going to be like an all-inclusive reaction to each section of chapters or so, along with questions that I found through Owl Crate online. I'll put the link in the description box below. They have a few different posts of questions for different chapters. They like broke it down into sections. So I kind of used those questions to kind of get an idea of what I was expecting going through the book, but even though I didn't film it. So that's something that I will keep in mind for the next video. All right, anyway, let's start the video. All right, so starting off in chapters 1 through 5, we really get an introduction to Simi. She is a Mami Wata, who is a mermaid who helps souls and people pass over into the afterlife. And she is a helper of Yamoja, the Orisha of the sea, which automatically I already love. I want to read more books within the African spirituality because, that's where my lineage is, and I'm extremely curious about it. So immediately the premise is already amazing. The language that Natasha uses, her style of writing, is truly amazing. It's extremely detailed. It sounds so freaking beautiful. I love reading it. And how she describes like Simi and where she lives in the sea and like the parts of her world and what she does as a job. All beautiful, all amazing. It's extremely sad that the job that she actually has, but the description of it seems so like peaceful and it seems extremely helpful. So it's not like in a sense of like extreme dread and depressing with the language. It makes the transition beautiful, if that makes sense, even though it is such a tragic situation going on. So moving forward into the chapters, Simi encounters a boy who is still alive, and she knows that he's still alive. So she's like, I don't feel comfortable helping him transition. Like, he's still alive. Like, there's a chance to save him. So she goes by instinct and actually ends up saving the boy. And we found out his name is Adekola. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he just calls himself Kola, at least, to Simi. And within these chapters, they just get to know each other. Not even really get to know each other, but at least like get to know of each other's presence. And so now that Simi is like, oh snap, I saved the boy. I did the opposite of what I was supposed to do. And also he wants to go back home. He can't really do that without somebody's help, and Simi can't do it. So she has to take him to go to Yamoja to ask her for help, even though she really just did the opposite of her job. So it's kind of like, girl, like, you're supposed to do this and you didn't, and now you're bringing the evidence to the Orisha. Like, girl, I don't think that makes any sense. All right, so going into the questions. So the first one is, what do you think Yamoja's reaction to saving Kola would be? And automatically, I already know she's not going to be happy. She's not going to be happy. She's going to be pissed. But I feel like she's not going to be like aggressively like pissed, to the point of like screaming. I feel like that's not what a lot of the Orishas do. Like, there's some that are, who can be aggressive, but I don't think a lot of them have that extreme aggression or extreme anger towards humans, because it's like, yeah, y'all kind of messy, we're kind of messy too. So I feel like there's going to be like at least a level of not even understanding, but at least a level of just like maturity in her response. Second question: do you think Yamoja will agree to help? I don't know about that. I mean, but there's a whole book, so obviously Yamoja's going to help. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the story. Third question: why do you think Kola needs to return to his family so quickly? I think that, well, at least when I was reading it, I thought that possibly his family was literally battling people, or at least like, because it is during the slave trade, maybe they were trying to fend off people from taking them onto the ships. So I felt maybe he was just like, oh my god, I got to get back. I got to make sure that they're still there. Hopefully they're not dead, or maybe they got onto the ship and maybe would have had to follow a ship or something. Like, I thought that type of process was going to occur. Last question: do you enjoy the first section? I do. I think it's pretty obvious. So that's it for this first part. All right, so chapters 6 through 9. Now we have Simi and Kola, and Simi taught Kola how to summon Yamoja. They summon Yamoja, they tell her what happened, and she's obviously pissed, because I would be too. And she goes on to tell them the story of how the Mamiwata were created, and essentially it stems from Oludumare, who created humans, and then humans wanted to be different. So he's like, okay, fine, whatever, y'all want to be different. And then came war, chaos, and all the other issues that humans are so great at doing. He said, no, y'all figure that out, because I did my part. Y'all wanted to be different, so navigate that space on your own. Now, with them being different and all the chaos, and him being like, no, no one else is going to interfere with them, Yamoja was like, I'm going to create Mami Wata to at least help those transition if they, when they pass, especially if they pass in the water. So this was seen as like, bad thing to do, because you're supposed to leave them alone. Let them figure it out on their own. So Olodumare's messenger Esu goes to punish her for creating them. And so the fact that she even created them in the first place is already an issue. So now the fact that Simi did the opposite of her job, not only did she interfere because it was already blurred lines anyway, she interfered and then allowed the human to live. Big red flag. So she has to go and beg for forgiveness for even starting this mess in the first place, and the fact that she did this can lead to the destruction of life itself. So this is Simi's fault. Alright, so the rest of the chapter is chapter 8 or 9. Yamoja gives them a boat and tells them how to get to Olodumare so they can beg for forgiveness and all that good stuff. And as they're navigating overseas, going overseas and just, sleeping and all that good stuff, Simi starts to have struggles with her human form, but she also starts to get memories. So she remembers that she was taken from her island, which I already figured that's how she came to be, because it's this specific time period. There's no other way around it. So I figured that. But I was very curious to see what her life was like before then. And just like, obviously, since she was taken, I was curious on what kind of life she lived before then. So the fact that this memory popped up, and the other memories start to pop up more in the story of her background, that's exactly what I was expecting. That's something that I am extremely grateful for, because I wanted to know that anyway. So I was glad that it wasn't like a plot hole, because that would have been a big plot hole. So they have always like a list of questions on Owl Crate, but I just, for the other chapters, just to not have this video be like an hour long, I just chose like one question that really popped up in mind for me, or at least like, just thoughts throughout this section of chapters. So for chapters 6 through 9, the question was, it seems the longer Simi stays in her human form, the more memories she recovers. Do you think this will impact her role as a Mamiwata? I said, obviously, because as she's becoming more human and getting these memories, maybe she wants to be human at the end of it. It kind of reminds me of like Barbie in the sense of like as you gain the knowledge, you want to live the life now that you have the knowledge of. So I thought maybe she'll want to be human, even though she can't be human again though, because she's dead. So that part, I mean, I feel like she would want to though. Maybe there'll be like some type of way she would be able to at least maybe experience life on land and in the water. But not all books end with that type of perfect balance, perfect harmony when it comes to the main character and what they want. Because I feel like these Orishas are like, nah, girl, you're not gonna be able to pick either one. Like, either you're gonna be this one or you're gonna be that. Like, there's no other choices. Like, we could literally just like let you go as a position if you just want to be a mermaid, but you're not gonna live on land, or maybe your soul is just gonna be completely passed on into the heavens. But like, there's no in between. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I forgot to mention this, but towards the end of chapter 9, Simi and Kola, they see a boat and it comes upon them. They're like, oh shit. They think that it's the white people, but it's actually their people on the boat because they've been pretty much fighting other ships and getting their people back. So they encounter another ship. Now, moving forward to chapters 10 through 13. Now they're on the boat and a few of the Orishas, they're attacking the boat. And so one of the passengers is literally praying to Oya, or at least praying to an Orisa at least. And she was like, oh, my bad, you one of us, type of situation. Because apparently Oya and Sanjo have been going around and destroying boats with black people as passengers, because they're like, nah, you ain't taking our people, we ain't doing that.
Oh wow, how embarrassing, my mic died. So we're just gonna do this all natural and just keep it moving. So Oya recognizes Simi on the boat and she's like, hey, Esu is on his way. Like, he is looking for you, because now all the Orisas and Orishas know that it's Simi's fault. So, Esu being the messenger, he is set out to get her, kill her, whatever. But he's looking for her essentially. So Oya's like, girl, you gotta go. You gotta dip because he's on his way. And just as she literally just tells her, there's a huge storm, the boat's attacked, and fast forward, Simi ends up on land and she's looking for Kola. But the people on the island, they were caring for him and being like, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna wake up soon. He woke up a little bit, but then he fell back asleep. So cool, Kola's not dead, thank God. But on the island, everyone is just really just being very helpful with caring for Kola, while Simi is now starting to get a few more memories. But also she's still struggling with her human form. Her legs are weak sometimes, and they were just on a boat, and then they got kicked off the boat because the boat just got attacked. So it's a little bit of a whirlwind for everybody right now. So they're really just recuperating on the island and eating, having a good time. As they're having fun and just talking, Kola is talking to one of the Yumbos about his island Oko and really just getting a feel for if anybody's still there. But the Yumbo says that possibly people have left, and then after just like eating and just talking for a little bit, the Yumbos drop to the ground. They're still breathing, but they just drop to the ground. So Simi gets pulled into like a vision of the Yumbos being dead, livestock being dead. She goes to another village and everything's dead. And then as the Yumbos start to get up from this situation, one of them tells Kola and Simi that they're deeply connected to the earth, and so anything that disrupts the earth disrupts them. So it's something really big that's going on that really just impacted them in the moment. And it is believed that it is tied to Kola's twin siblings. Sorry, not his actual kid. It's Kola's twin siblings. And they are said to be like the, not even reincarnation, but like said to hold the power, or at least the essence of Orisas, of like glee, mischief, and abundance. And the fact that there is this huge disruptance, it just shows that something happened to them. Like there's something going on with that. So immediately, Cola's like, we gotta hurry up and get to my island. My siblings are in trouble. They're very essential to the key of life, of all existence. Because not only now is Esu looking for Simi, Esu is also looking to gain power because Esu is tired of being a messenger. So he's trying to find a way to get as much power as he can. And a lot of the power is said to be between these twins. So not only do they have to hurry back up to the island anyway, because Cole is like, I need to find my family, but also his siblings could be in trouble. So that's just going over chapters 10 through 13. So I really didn't answer any of the questions from the article. I just really had thoughts. So I'm looking over here because I have notes. I forgot to put that in there as a disclaimer. But as Simi develops feelings for Cola, could these feelings lead to her losing her powers? Like the fact that it's humanizing her, could she lose all of her Mami Wata powers? And as much as she's prayed to the gods and how much she serves Umoja now, is there any possibility of them being extremely spiteful? That was just my curiosity of, could it lead to a point of where she's, I guess I would say I don't know what's the correct term. Disowned. I think that's probably what it is. Disowned from her position, or at least kicked out of being a Mami Wata. At least not within the Orisha's power dynamic and all that stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's just my thought. Maybe there'll be some spitefulness towards her as she is more on land. If they're you know what, by the time she gets back down here, we gonna cut her off anyway. Alright, so for chapters 14 through 16, we get more information of Cola's twin siblings and the power that they really hold. And they actually have rings that represent and have the power of both of them in there, I'm guessing. And that's what Esu wants. He wants those rings, but he can't just up and take the rings. It has to be given to him by the twins. And these are just some notes to highlight. The twins' names are Taiwo and Kayende. I knew a Taiwo and a Kayende from high school. As soon as reading those names, I was like, oh my god, I knew them. And they were actually twins too. Wild. And I love the fact that it's not just one person that the world relies on. It relies really on twins, essentially. And the fact that they hold power to sustain and help balance life and the spiritual sense, the spiritual world. That's very crucial. I really love that. It's not oh my god, this one girl, if she gives up all of her magic, she can save everybody. It's nothing like that. It's extremely refreshing. I absolutely love it. It's extremely creative. But I also had a question, was could one give permission but not the other? So then could Esu get at least some power? Because he can't get, because it has to be given to him. So could he get some power but not the other? Or could having the power of one influence the other person to give it to him? Is there some type of leeway around that? These were just some thoughts that I had. Because we're literally almost done with the book, so I'm just gonna rapid fire, get to the end type of deal. Alright, so we're going along on the journey. So Simi and Cola are now trying to find their way to get to Oko, and they enlist in some help from Isa, who is a little boy from the Yumbo village. He helps them over a bridge. There's some issues there. There's an animal, there's a creature in the water that nearly eats Cola. We're gonna speed through that because Cola nearly dies at least 3 times in this story. So they get to the island, and immediately Cola is greeted by 2 of the guards that are supposed to protect the twins. But they were out looking for Cola, so Esu got to the twins. So now that Esu has them, they don't know what to do. At least the village doesn't know what to do. They're trying to at least have hope that Taiwo and Kayende will come back. But Cola's like, nah, we gotta keep going because I need to go get my siblings. So they end up going to the Babalawo, who holds ceremonies for the siblings to amplify their powers and tie it to the rings. But something didn't go correctly. So they end up going to the Babalawo, and he tells them that, something just didn't work. Like something's just, it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. And also with their power in the rings, it also keeps Oko and village and life alive. You know, they're very essential, pretty much. But the rings also can summon Olodumare. So Esu took them so he can summon Olodumare. Oh my god, just such a mouthful. At least to me, like trying to pace myself with saying it. He took them so he can get as much power as possible to rival him, because Esu wants to be the leader now. Now they have to go find Esu to get the twins back to try to restore life of everything before he gets the powers from them, because there is still the possibility of them giving the rings to Esu, and Esu can control all of life and all of land and everything, and we don't want that. Okay, so now they end up going back to Oko, because now they're like, okay, now we know what to do. So we need to go back and get all the supplies that we need so we can go to Esu's island to get the twins back and restore literally all life itself. They go back, things are very weird. There's like fish dying, and so everyone in Cola's village is getting ready to like fight and go on a journey. But so they recruit Ifedayo. I think it's Ifedayo. And they send Isa back home because they're like, nah, you can't be with us. You let us, thank you for that. But it's time for you to go back home. So Ifedayo comes with them on the journey, along with the guards that were supposed to keep track of Taiwo and Kayende. So it's really Kola, Simi, Ifedayo, my god, I can't say that correctly. I think it's Yika and Bem. They're all going on the journey to Esu's island, but no one knows what happens on Esu's island because no one has any accounts of what's there, but it's said to be protected by mythical creatures. So they get to at least as close to the island as possible, and then Simi talks to Ifedayo, and things that he says doesn't sit right with Simi. Like, it just, like, he's telling her about his life, but something about it doesn't feel right to her. So it's only 2 chapters, it happens really quickly. Just leading to my questions, it was just like, do you think Ifedayo knew Simi before? I think he knows her. Maybe he knows what village she's from. Maybe he knows like her family, or maybe he is family. I don't know. Maybe he's just being vague and weird because it is a weird situation, especially if you knew that Simi was taken on the ship and now you see her and you also know now she's a Mami Wata. I'd be like, I'm gonna be vague. I'm not telling you everything because this is already weird enough. That's just my interpretation. Alright, so chapters 19 to 23, so now they are on the island. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of different creatures around them, and there is some hyenas. They're called Boltungans. I'm gonna just call them hyenas. And they attack people that aren't like them, because they're humans that take hyena form. So, yeah. They're hungry, they want the humans, they want to eat them, pretty much. But the leader recognizes Yinka and thinks that she is one of them. So the other ones have to like run and get away really quick type of thing. and if Hideo blocks it, so Yinka's still over there with the hyenas. I don't think she died. That's just my interpretation. I don't think she died, and I believe Skin of the Sea, I believe this is a series, or at least a trilogy, so I feel like we'll see Yinka again later on in the stories, so I don't think she's dead. Moving forward, now there's other creatures coming to attack them pretty much. There is like a bird type thing that's also trying to attack them, and they find Issa. Issa came on the journey with them. He hid in like there's some little secret passage part, and now he's there with them along with all this chaos going on. And one of the birds like bites Cola's arm, but then literally kills Issa. He wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. Like, I swear, this is why, like, I feel like with some fantasy stories I can't get with, especially when you have like really young travelers, because they're always stupid. That's the whole point. Their brain isn't fully developed, but they're always stupid and they always die. So what's the point of putting them in there? I need characters who have some type of sense of when to leave. Okay, I don't need little spunky characters. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. No, go home. Like, I don't have room for that. So it is sad that Issa died, but also that's what you get for being young and stupid. I don't have time for that. I need older ages. Like, I can't do that. Alright, so we're towards the end of the story. There is a part that I forgot to mention where before they went on their journey, Simi went into the water to go visit Olukan to get his help to defeat Esu, and pretty much, making deals with an Orisha, or any deity for that matter. It always comes with something, not always something like negative, but there's always something tied to it. And she was like, okay, cool, you help me, I'll help you. This was already like pre-planned out. So yeah, now to the end. If Hideo is Esu, who would have thought? I thought it was gonna be family, but no. So the twins are locked up in a cage. It's obviously chaos. I'm not gonna do like all bunch of in detail, but they get the twins out, and so then within the tussle between Simi and Esu of just like trying to get power and get the rings or whatever, Olukan does his part and actually restrains him and drags him down into the water. Okay, so now that Olukan has Esu, he's just waiting for Olodumare to come by and come handle the situation. But within their whole battle to get Esu underwater type of thing, Kola is dead. Of course, finally he's dead. But they save him with the rings, and his spirit goes back in his body. Everything's great. But Simi made the deal with Olukan, so now that he helped her with Esu, she has to go live in the land of the dead. So that's where she's gonna make her home and now serve him. Which brings up the question, can she do that? Like, can other spiritual beings that serve under a deity switch to a different deity? Like, is that actually possible? Does she have to talk to like Yamoja first, or does Olukan and Yamoja communicate? Like, what does that process even look like? Like, is it possible? Alright, so that's it for just like my thoughts and the storyline of Skin of the Sea. So now this section is just like my other thoughts. So I really loved the articles at the end, because now I can do my own research when it comes to African mythology and spirituality and all that kind of stuff. So that's something that I really love, because literally I'm going to like take a picture of those articles, because I have to return the book back to the library. But I will be finding those articles, reading them up, printing them out, doing all the good stuff, highlighting. I'm not a highlighter typically, but I will highlight stuff that I'm really interested in. So yeah, that's a really cool, interesting part. I love that it really just connected with spirituality and my ancestry. That's something that I'm getting more into, and I want to read more, even fiction and nonfiction related to it. So I already love the story for that. And it also just really kind of made me understand even more when it comes to fantasy what I want to read, because I'm not a big fantasy person, But if it's this type of fantasy, it's good. So like Children of Blood and Bone, I haven't finished To Let Them Burn yet. At first, I didn't even know that was Black fantasy. I don't think I was in the right headspace to read it, so I'm gonna reread it. Now that I know, I feel like I'll be a lot better now. But like Beasts of Prey and Tender Beasts that I want to read too, like that type of fantasy. Like give me Black fantasy, give me Asian fantasy, just give me any other fantasy besides Sarah J Maas, and then I'll be into it. That's just like my expectations moving forward. But also, can we not have like one person be the chosen person too? I feel like we can expand on that beyond that realm of fantasy. Alright, so just leading into the rest of the story, so just looking at the psychology of it. So more so like the psychology of Skin of the Sea, there's like a lot of traumatic experiences, especially during slave trade, and a lot of triggering thoughts and experiences for not only like Kola, but for Simi as well, because these are her memories that she has. So a lot of the memories that she has left over are very triggered, traumatic memories. And so obviously since she's dead, she didn't have immediate access to those memories. But I would also love to see more of the non-triggering ones, because I mean, like the beginning of her memories, they weren't triggering, but they were like leading up to such a traumatic and triggering moment. So I would love to see memories of when she was a child. Maybe the other books will cover more of like her past and her childhood. Like maybe those kind of memories will come about even more. Like, I mean, at the end of the story, it does like cover like her childhood and everything like that. But I just want a little bit more of that. But there's still like, it's really heavy. It's a very heavy story. It's a very heavy storyline with fantastical elements to it. And so it really also brings up something that I thought of, which was the difference between surviving and resilience. So like surviving through such a traumatic experience would be like Simi and Kola, because they're really just Kola's trying to find his family, he's trying to get back home, he's trying to find a way to survive in a way to help his family in this chaotic situation that's going on. Simi as well, she's been surviving underwater doing her duty as a Mami Wata, and now that she has gone against it, now she's surviving on land to fix everything, essentially. Like she's surviving in that sense. And it kind of opposes to the resilience, which I'd say is more of like the other people on the boat and also the Kola's village. It felt like more of like a resilience for them, because despite what they have been through, they're still actively trying to change the situation. So like the people on the boat, they're actively destroying boats with their people on it and trying to get them back. Like they're trying to find a way to fight the system and fight what's going on to save the people that they love and save other people from other villages as well, along with Kola's village. Like they had Kola taken, and then they had the twins taken, so that's a lot going on with them, but then they still found the resilience to try to find them and fight back. What are your thoughts on Skin of the Sea? You could drop them in the comments below. Be sure to like this video if you like to see this kind of content. If you're excited to see more of Fiction Fridays, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, stay magical. Bye.